Hi everybody, and welcome to Seeking the Sacred Earth. This is the third video about inner child work. So after we've written the letters and we've really done some inventory on how our inner child has manifested in our adult life, what we're ready to do is start incorporating that inner child in our daily life. So my experience with the letters, I felt like I did a visualization after each phase. With the infancy phase, I went into my, the room where I was born, and I picked up that infant and told her, that I was always there for her. And what I ended up visualizing in this meditation, I turned her into like a pink ball of energy, and I brought that energy into my heart. And I really feel like she's with me always in that way, that infant self, and that I was able to bring her to consciousness so she's a part of the decisions that I make. I highly recommend using this technique as you go through each of these phases after writing the letters, to then take a moment after you've read the letter aloud that the child has written with the non-dominant hand, to take a moment and visualize the adult in front of that infant or toddler, preschooler or grade schooler or adolescent. And then imagine them either stepping into your energetic field as an adult, or you can put them into a symbol, or you can turn them into an animal, or really anything that you want to then absorb into your heart so that they become a conscious part of the decisions that you make and how you interact with the people in your life. It was interesting for me, my adolescent, I was raised in a very fundamentalist household. It was very strict. And although it was kind of contradictory because there was all sorts of mayhem, not good stuff going on in that home, but it was also under the umbrella of fundamentalist Christianity, and there were some serious rules. And my inner adolescent was like, when she wrote that letter to me, when I wrote with a non-dominant hand, she was like, I want out of here. This place is a prison. I want to be free. So this leads me to, I had the meditation with her and incorporated her, but there was an element that was a bit resistant. And you may find that there may be a certain phase in your life that may need more expression, that may want to write another letter, that actually may want to have a very specific time of your day or week dedicated to it. So this leads me to, we do these visualizations, and if you're a meditator, this is a great way to end or begin meditations, is asking, which aspect of your inner child wants to be integrated or needs to be heard, and then you have a dialogue with it. I've seen so many changes in my life with this technique, so many, which is why I'm sharing it, because it really is effective, and it reverberates through time, right? Because they say that time doesn't exist, it's all happening at once. So the changes you make like this, these deep internal changes, you will see in your outside world. So my adolescent, back to her, I really had to suppress her. That natural, as a curiosity grows in adolescence, we're curious about sex, we're curious about our body, we become more and more curious about who we are in the world and what are we supposed to be doing and what are our boundaries in the outside world. For me, I had to immediately begin focusing on how I was going to survive and get out of my home, and I had some choices. It was, go sort of the path of not so good choices, stripping, drugs, alcohol, running away. I mean, it was that, or it was focus on my academics and graduate high school as fast as I could and get into the best drama school that I possibly could and begin a career where I could support myself as soon as I could. And I chose the path of academics. So I ended up graduating high school in 3 years and testing out of classes and doing, a ton of correspondence work, because at that time, we didn't have this amazing tool so progressed as it is now called the internet. We had it, but it wasn't anywhere near where it is today. So I really had to do a lot of work, and it was time consuming, and I wasn't able, even in that suppressed community, to express my freedom. So when I actually got out of my childhood home and began my young adult life, I kind of swung in one direction. And I went a little wild, because I had not been able to naturally, starting around that 11, 12 age, I was not able to express any of that curiosity. So it really was expressed around 18 and 19 to levels that I don't think were healthy. And I made some poor decisions, of course. I know a lot of us do at that age. The point of this is to tell you that adolescent still really wants her due. Even, I'm 41 now. This adolescent in me, that part of my inner child, is still really knocking on my heart. So one of the recommendations from one great healer that I have worked with in my life, they said, take some time in the meditation that you have with these inner child aspects and ask them specifically, what do you want? Because I only think we're really reaching a time now when parents are understanding that we are to ask our child, what do you want for dinner? Would you like this or that? Giving them choices. What would you like to wear today? Would you like, this shirt or that shirt? These socks or those socks? That is a beginning process of really empowering someone to trust their own judgment. None of my aspects from childhood were given that. So the idea is, in these meditations, as you're working with these inner child, you ask them, what do you want more of in our life together? What do you want more of? And, keep a pen and paper when you're doing this beside you, because sometimes they don't ask for much, but sometimes it's like a list as long as a Santa list. So you want to be able to write it down so that when you come out of the meditation, you and, your regular life can actually start incorporating these things. Some of my aspects, they asked for bubble baths. I had an asking for playing with bubbles in general, which is interesting because that's, when I watch my son, that's a time of great wonder that children have when they're dealing with bubbles, why they pop and how long they stay, sort of lesson in impermanence and wonder. And the adolescent was like, she wanted to ride a motorcycle. She wanted to go clothes shopping, which I don't do very often anymore. She wanted me to be wearing more makeup more often, because I definitely, after the birth of my son and raising him in the circumstances that I am, I just don't really have time in my morning to put makeup on. And my teenager loved makeup. I loved magazines, I remember, at that age. So there's things that they'll ask for, and we need to give it to them, because we are the only ones who will. And when our inner child feels accepted and acknowledged and satiated like any child, then they're able to be in their blissful, open-hearted state. That means that you are going to have more room for serenity, for peace, for creative inspiration, for ideas that are going to lead to prosperity, health, to really have self-appreciation. Self-appreciation doesn't come when we're stressed and freaked out and in fight or flight mode. We, of course, can't stop and be like, hey, you're doing good today. Hey, you're looking good today. Self-appreciation really only bubbles up when we maintain some sort of sense of peace, serenity, and calm. And those states of balance can only come if we're incorporating these parts of ourselves that were denied and neglected and abandoned. So, 3 videos on inner child work, that's just really skimming the surface of something that is so vitally important to our mental, spiritual, and emotional well-being. Dare I say, essential to our physical health. So, this is just 1, 2, and 3. We'll start here. There's definitely comments flying in, and it leads that this conversation should continue, but there's other things I want to share with you guys too. So please look up, this Homecoming book by John Bradshaw. It's one of the best in inner child reclaiming that I've ever read, but there's so many out there. This is really like a lifelong mantle of self-opening when you start the inner child work, and the recognition that we all have that spark, and it's the spark that we must feed. Because in the darkest times, and there are some that come in life, of course, goes in cycles, and in our world, there's many things we can focus on right now that are dark and, just despairing. It's that inner child's light, that first form as it's expanded in our life, that is going to bring us and maintain a sense of wonder. And that sense of wonder will transcend any darkness. I can testify to that. In many ways, it's a miracle that I am alive. And it's because there is that flame, that inner child, that sense of curiosity and wonder that no one can really put out. And if we feed it as an adult, we become invincible in this time of great challenge. So, namaste with this one, and I hope you guys can use this technique. I hope it serves you, and if you know of people who it could serve and help and heal, please share it. And remember, if you're watching this on the website, subscribe, because I'm also doing a written blog post, kind of fluctuating in how many posts I'm doing a week. I'm not quite sure yet, but subscribe so you can get this stuff straight to your inbox. Thanks so much, you guys.